What's up, vinyl community? Welcome to second installment in my new series, Spin Cycle. So got a mix of things here, a few records that I've been listening to, that I've listened to on my own. A few that I was more from when I had people over or cooking with my girlfriend, so obviously my listening is different. I do have some, classic records from different decades that I like to put on when people are over, as opposed to what I might listen to when I'm just at home alone or in my listening room, record room alone. Thanks to everyone who watched episode 1 of Spin Cycle. So there are some kind of new additions, new purchases, new finds peppered in here, because obviously I'm listening to the records that I have bought as I get them. Haven't bought a ton, but definitely a slow stream making its way in. We had the time change on the weekend, so now it's a lot harder to make videos, I find, because it gets dark really early. Same problem every year. Okay, let's get into the records. First up, picked this up on the weekend. My local store finally got these in. The Tribe reissues. So if you follow my channel, you know that I have one record on Tribe that I picked up this summer in Detroit. So this one is Harold McKinney, Voices and Rhythms of the Creative Profile. I had never heard this, so I don't know the exact year. 74 on Tribe. Obviously there weren't a ton of records released on this Detroit label, but they're all pretty special. So Harold McKinney is a pianist / does some vocals too. So there are vocals on this session, which I know is not everyone's thing, but for me, they work really well. The other musicians are there's two others that I recognize from the Tribe catalog. So Wendell Harrison on reeds and Marcus Belgrave on trumpet, and then all the other musicians I'm not familiar with. But it's an excellent LP. I enjoyed the whole thing through. It's not super free, or there's a bit of spiritual vibe to it. There's a bit of funky vibe to it. So yeah, I think it's a good session, as they all are on Tribe. Some are funkier, some are more on the free side. But all in all, I was not disappointed with this. I spun it as soon as I got it, right away from front to back. And I'm looking forward to putting it on again before filing it into the shelves. And they're on Pure Pleasure, these reissues. By the way, they released, I think, 4 from the Tribe catalog, and it sounds great. I've picked up a couple of the Strata East ones, and I don't mind buying reissues, but obviously we all love to find originals. But this is music that really speaks to me, and kind of unaffordable in original form, inaccessible and unaffordable. So happy to have some really well done in terms of sound quality and presentation reissues. This one does have 2 covers. I don't know, I think the original release was the other artwork, but I'm not quite sure. Second one, this I was able to spin on the weekend right before my company arrived for dinner. And I really enjoyed it, which I was expecting to, but to be honest, I've listened to my other Billy Harper records more than this one. I don't know why. I know this is the one that everyone talks about, but when I was buying Billy Harper records, I was loving them all, but there's a few that I listened to more than this one, and I'd kind of, not slept on it. I knew I liked it, but hadn't got into it as much, and I didn't know the songs as well as I do the other ones. So this is Billy Harper on Strata East, Capra Black, and it's an incredible record. It is as good. I can't say that it's miles ahead of the other Billy Harper records I have. I know that, because it's on Strata East, it gets a lot of hype, but Billy Harper, any Billy Harper record that you can get your hands on, this one is special but they all have some special moments. So this one features George Cables on piano, Reggie Workman on bass, Julian Priester on trombone, Dick Griffin on trombone, Billy Cobham drums, Warren Smith drums, Jimmy Owens on trumpet, and a special guest, Elvin Jones on drums. And you have a slew of people doing some vocals on here as well, which is surprised to see. I didn't notice this before, Gene McDaniels. But other than Coltrane, I put him up there with Coltrane. Obviously Coltrane came first, but in terms of enjoyment and listening, Billy Harper is the guy for me in terms of saxophone. This album is dedicated to Lee Morgan and to Kenny Dorham, who inspired my uncle, who inspired me, and the many other messengers who have passed this road before me. So this copy at some point looked like it belonged to Brody. It's not the hardest one to come by, but definitely harder to come by. Now these original Strata East records, this one's in great shape. I got lucky. It wasn't too expensive. I bought this one on eBay a few years back. This one, Bill Withers, I spun, I think, was it Saturday morning? Woke up, my girlfriend and I kind of just chilling out, reading, and I threw this on. I don't know this Bill Withers record as well as his earlier ones. I just picked this one up this summer, and I was into it. I have to admit that I prefer Bill Withers. This doesn't, not specific to this LP, but I prefer his groovier, more upbeat tracks. Sometimes the slow ones, I don't know, I love his voice in the funky ones, but then sometimes the slow tracks, I doesn't speak to me as much. But overall, still an excellent LP that won't break the bank. So I suggest picking this one up. Adjustments by Bill Withers. I don't know exactly what year this is, but it's probably mid 74. Yeah, I was gonna say mid 70s. So definitely recommend pick this one up. One of the, I think, 4 Bill Withers records that I have, and I think that's all I need. So this one was a pleasant surprise. I reorganized my record collection recently. I had been slowly over the past couple years pulling out labels and having them on my shelves by label, and it was starting to get choppy where I was running out of space, and it was, I don't know, it was feeling very unorganized. So kind of pulled everything out, reorganized the whole, kind of made some more space for the jazz section basically by taking out the hip hop records and putting them somewhere else. And then I kind of chose some of the labels that I had separated and filed them back into the jazz collection. So now it just feels more organized to me. I still have a few labels at the top, at the beginning of my jazz section, and then flows into to alphabetical. And yeah, it just feels a lot better. So I'm kind of going through the shelves and pulling out records here and there that I haven't listened to in a while. And this one I pulled out. It's one of the first ones I pulled out, actually. So this is Jack DeJohnette. Sorry, still getting over this cold. Jack DeJohnette, New Directions, with Lester Bowie, John Abercrombie, and Eddie Gomez. And this is on ECM. And not that I didn't think I was going to like this, but it definitely spoke to me more than I imagined it was going to. And this is an easy record to find. It's not expensive. I actually saw it again on the weekend after I listened to it on last Friday. And it's, yeah, it's really, really good. There's some dreamy moments. Not surprisingly, but guitar isn't always, my favorite in jazz records, and it works perfectly for me here. John Abercrombie, obviously a master of jazz guitar, but Lester Bowie, Eddie Gomez, and Jack DeJohnette, it's, Bayou Fever, Silver Hollow, Dream Stalker. So definitely check this one out. You can get this for under 10 bucks, probably, pretty easily. Pulled out Don Cherry. This is, known as brown rice, I guess. It's the U.S. pressing, kind of more of a Eastern world feel. You have some different lineups here depending on the track. Well, you have some with a few extra musicians, but The bass is, as usual, Don Cherry, Charlie Hayden, Billy Higgins, and then you have some other people using some other instruments, but you have Frank Lowe on tenor sax as well, and then you have, what is it? Some electric bongos, some tambura, Ricky Cherry playing electric piano. So yeah, this one actually, I enjoyed it, but not as much as I remember enjoying it the first time. Maybe it was just my mood that day. But it's a solid record if you can get your hands on this. Don Cherry Brown Rice from late 70s, I think it's 78 on Horizon. So yeah, if you're into that kind of more world Eastern feel jazz, there's some actually enjoyable reading in the liner notes about Don Cherry's life and the different stages of him discovering music and moving around the world, and in kind of really, what's the word I'm looking for? Throwing himself into other cultures' music and really living it, so that he can, you know, incorporate it in an authentic way into his music. So yeah, Don Cherry Brown Rice on Horizon. It's another ones that I pulled off the shelf for the first time in a while after reorganizing. The Scavenger by Nat Adderley, and so the track here is, the title track is excellent. The whole LP was a little disappointing to me. There's no bad tracks, but they're not on the same level as the Scavenger. So you have Joe Henderson, Joe Zawinul, Jeremy Steig, and Mel Lasty, but you don't, and you have Roy McCurdy, so a few others, but Joe Henderson's on every track. He's definitely the standout here for me. The tracks with Joe Henderson are the best ones. So yeah, that's what I have to say about this. It's, if you can find it for cheap, it's definitely worth it for the title track alone, but it's not a must-have, I would say. But at least if you haven't heard it, check out the title track, The Scavenger, on online. You can easily hear it, I'm sure, on YouTube. But this one's on Milestone, and it's I think a second pressing. It's on this Fantasy label, because this one's from '68. Yeah, I think '67 or '68. So it would have been on the original Milestone label upon initial release. But yeah, still worth checking out. But not all the songs as interesting to me. Not bad, just not as exciting. Pulled out a Brazilian record from my little, very small Brazilian shelf. This is a reissue that I bought, I think about a year ago when it came out. I think it's a Mr. Bongo reissue. This is Antonio Carlos and Jocafi, Mudai de Idea. Not sure how to say that, but I gave it a go on RCA. Really cool cover. This record, I really enjoyed it, but what's interesting is that it's so many different vibes. Goes in and out of kind of funky, no, not funky, sorry, folky, and very kind of funky guitar. And not just guitar, but like the whole vibes of the songs change. I wish I knew what they were saying. It might give me a bit more insight, but obviously I don't speak Portuguese. But overall, the record is very enjoyable, but the mood is constantly changing with the energy in the songs. A lot slower, a lot kind of groovier. So yeah, but definitely worth checking out this one online. Not the easiest thing to track down an original of, but something I appreciated listening to from my small Brazilian section. This is one my sister gave me back in the summer, and I hadn't listened to it. I guess it kind of just got lost in the stacks. And I threw it on one day while cooking. This is Talib Kweli, Train of Thought. So lost lyrics, rare releases, and beautiful B-sides. This is, I knew maybe a couple of the songs, but overall I wasn't familiar with a bunch of these tracks, and it was just great to hear some of the older songs, the few that are on here from, you know, to me, the heyday of Kweli and Mos Def. So yeah, it's for you hip hop heads out there. Got production by Dave West, High Tech, Ayatollah. I knew the one produced by Kanye. It was on one of the Beautiful Struggle mixtapes. But yeah, so there's songs from different kind of eras of Kweli here. Some of the earlier stuff, some of the later stuff. But overall, very enjoyable little release. What else I got here? This is one that I just picked up last week, Shaft in Africa. I've seen this probably online, but I've never come across it in a store. So main title song by the Four Tops, Are You Man Enough? Which is a good track, and the original score composed and conducted, arranged by Johnny Pate. So yeah, this, I mean, I expected it to be pretty good, but considering it's not worth much, it's not an expensive record, it's cheap. I didn't know, you know, a lot of those blaxploitation soundtracks are quite expensive and they're dope, but this one is cheap. So I was like, is it going to be as dope? And it's great. So if you see this for a few bucks, whatever it is, definitely worth picking up. This one is a promo copy. You know, it's funky instrumentation. Promo copy. Well, it's a white label, so I can assume it's a promo, but maybe not. But it's made in Barbados, it says on the label, which I thought was interesting. Doesn't say that on the sleeve. Looks like a US sleeve. Anyway, Shaft in Africa, worth picking up if you're into that type of stuff. The rest is all stuff that I kind of threw on either while cooking with my girlfriend or when we had guests over. So my girlfriend and I struggle sometimes to find common ground on music. She enjoys some of the stuff I listen to, but it's not what she listens to. But she puts up with me putting records on. But sometimes I try to please her. So Maxwell, Black Summer's Night. This is an incredible record, that she actually on her own listened to a lot. When I first introduced it to her years ago, and when this came out, I think it was 2009, won tons of Grammys, great record. This is just, you know, through and through. It's definitely a very sensual album, pretty sexy, but everything's great on it. The musicianship, this obviously his singing is stunning. Someone I have not seen live, but I think that I would love to. Anyway, so Maxwell, if you don't know that, definitely worth checking out if you like modern R&B at all. Obviously this classic, I don't think we listened to this the whole way through. We listened to one of this, but D'Angelo, Voodoo, not really much to say about this classic, if you want to call it, neo-soul record from the late 90s with production work by Soul Aquarians, Dilla, and Questlove and James Poyser. And then segueing into this, which we had listened to, I don't think on the same night, but I just recently picked this up. I had the CD, but this is Jaguar Wright, Denials, Delusions, and Decisions. We also produce a lot of production by Quest and, what's his name, James Poyser, and a couple verses by Black Thought on here. Not like mind-blowing, obviously, but it's a very enjoyable listen to funky soul. Some upbeat tracks that I really like. This one we had on the other day while some guests were over having dinner, Erykah Badu, Baduism, great record from that kind of great little era in the late 90s of soul music. Threw on a few older soul records. Actually, I know there was Marvin Gaye that I put on, but I don't have it here. This is Staple Singers, music by Curtis Mayfield. Let's Do It Again. So another cheap record that is awesome. Obviously that classic Curtis Mayfield sound. I think this one's it's later though, considering, no, 75 on Kernum. So yeah, in Curtis Mayfield's prime there. Love this record, just really feel good record, particularly the title track, Let's Do It Again. So yeah, staple singers. One of my favorites, Willie Hutch. Love Willie Hutch, all his stuff from the early 70s particularly. This one's a bit later, 77, but still a great record. Having a House Party, as you can see, very cheesy cover, and that this is a DJ copy, not for sale. Willie Hutch wrote all his own music. Love his voice, love his song writing. So yeah, not the best Willie Hutch record by any means, but a good one. Tuxedo, I think I showed this when I got it. This is Mayor Hawthorne and Jake One. For you, hip hop guys, Jake One. If you're really into hip hop, Mayor Hawthorne used to be part of Athletic Mike League from Ann Arbor, near Detroit, where my cousin lives. And this is just a modern funk kind of soul, feel-good record. I didn't dig their second one as much, but this one is just really enjoyable. Everyone, not everyone knew this that was over. My girlfriend knows it and loves it, but everyone really enjoyed it. It's just a feel-good record. Tracks like So Good would be the standout, and Do It. Great production by, I don't know if they both do the production or if it's just Jake One, because I know Mayor Hawthorne is great with production and instruments as well, but I think it's mostly Jake One, and Mayor Hawthorne does the vocals on this. So that's it. Kind of a whole mixed bag of stuff in this episode of Spin Cycle, compared to the first episode, which was the Muse record. So if you didn't see that one, check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll be back soon with another one. Peace.